Record. Okay. Hi, welcome to ADHD Kids Can Thrive.com. And today I'm interviewing a wonderful woman that I think it's good timing as we get to the end of the school year here. Is Kris from the Kris Rice Collective. Did I say that right? Is it Kris Rice Collective?
It is, yes.
Okay. And she's an empowerment coach that works with women and parents who are struggling with kids who may have needs beyond the norm. Okay. So welcome, Kris. What I was attracted about with Kris and interviewing her today is that she kind of talks more about the soulful side of having to parent kids who struggle. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, Kris. So let's start with, if you could start with like your own personal story and how you got to where we are today.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first off, thanks for having me. I'm super excited for this conversation. So thank you for the honor of being here. So yeah, I have been raising a daughter who's been seeking mental wellness since she was about 2. So I have 2 daughters, and my older one she's struggled with various levels of anxiety and mental health struggles really all her life. And what's been really fascinating and rewarding to watch unfold is how supporting her helped me find myself, and how both of our journeys have unfolded and both of our truths have unfolded alongside of each other. And so we have gone a natural way of navigating her mental health struggles, and in doing so have really found some beautiful ways to not only support her, but support me and my husband as the caregivers, because as you know, it can be a lot. And I think that soul component of making sure you're cared for is so vitally important.
Absolutely. And so now you've turned that into your business of supporting other women, primarily, I would guess, and moms and dads with how to support themselves while they're supporting a child who is struggling, whether it be with any kind of neurodiversity situation, right? Yeah. Okay. And how old is your daughter?
She is 10.
Oh, great. Okay. So you're 10 years in.
10 years in.
10 years in and going strong. Okay. So share with us some of the tips and some of the strategies that you suggest that parents can use to help them in their own personal journey when it comes to caring for their soul and their spirit, and making sure they can continue to move forward without losing their marbles.
When I thought about this question, it really came down to I think in lists. So in my head, I thought of 3 sort of like buckets, 3 pillars of ways that we can support ourselves and feeding that soul care component. So what came to my mind and my heart was really establishing soul care, maintaining it, and also embracing it. And so those 3 pieces were what came to mind for me. And I'm happy to sort of talk through what each of those mean in my mind, if you'd like me to do that, just so that it gives some context and sort of I love to walk away with tangible ways that you can sort of put that in action in your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, let's start with the first one.
So the first one to me is establishing. So for establishing soul care, the key there in my head is getting honest with what your needs are, and no longer like shuffling those under the rug and pretending they don't exist, and just being honest with, where am I lacking? What am I missing? Where am I not having any joy in my day? Where am I not fitting into this picture? And so one thing that I think of for that is just a simple thing of brainstorming the things that bring you joy, things that make life fun again, that it's not just shuffling from one therapy to another, that it's not all the obligations and things we need or should do. It's what fills your cup. And so I have literally written down a list of the things that I love to do that are as simple as can be. It can be like drinking a cup of tea and having no one interrupt me. It can be walking around the block and listening to a podcast for 10 minutes. I mean, it does not need to be like a spa day, a getaway retreat for a week. It's like, what can you do in 10 minutes so that you can take that baby step to show yourself you can do that every single day? Because that's where the change and the momentum starts to build.
And holding yourself accountable to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And knowing that it
Yeah.
is okay to do that.
Exactly. I think I can only speak from my personal experience, but I think when you have a lot on your plate, it can be really easy to shuffle yourself to the side and be like, I'm fine. I'm fine. It'll be okay. Like, I don't need these things now. But at the end of the day, you need them, you deserve them, you're totally worthy of them. So first and foremost, we kind of have to stick up for ourselves and be brave and do that.
Right. Absolutely. It's like
Mhm.
putting up boundaries, right?
Exactly. Totally.
Between,
Totally.
what your child needs and what you need to
Yeah.
both stay mentally strong and proceed forward. Okay. So
Yeah.
what's the second step that you recommend?
The second to me is embracing it. So when I think of embracing soul care, it's really kind of getting the momentum of what I think of is putting your oxygen mask on first. And it's kind of a cliche, but I am not kidding when I say, when I heard that analogy of if you're on the plane, like you put your oxygen mask on first, it did not compute to me. Like it did not make sense when I heard it.
Right.
And it took me a long time to realize it's the wholehearted truth. If we don't show up for ourselves, then we physically can't show up for the people that we love and that we want to. So if that
Although I
is
still
like,
think if the plane was going down, I would make sure my kids had their
I
mask on.
mean, I know. I do too. I do too.
It's the mother in all of us.
I know. Totally. Totally. In like extreme situation, I agree. And then in in daily life, I'm like, I
Yeah.
have to hold on to that as it's not selfish to do these things for myself. And sometimes it's even like grounding myself in the idea that raising two daughters, like I would want nothing more than for them to have these same ways of thinking, of practicing these things first for themselves so they can show up as the best version of themselves. So that took me, that helped me get there where it was like, okay, well, think of it from that. Like, think of the good you're doing for the next generation. And then once I could feel that for a little while, then it was like, okay, I can settle into this for myself. So if that's like a struggle to sort of come to, you could always like kind of reframe it in whatever way helps you to get over those mental hurdles.
Right. To embrace it in your daily life or
Exactly.
regular life.
Embrace it in your daily life. And I think it's all about pushing those boundaries, like you said, of like, you know, just releasing those worries about it being selfish, or anything, whatever your flavor is of that, and really expanding it. You know what worked before of like maybe 10 minutes a day, maybe now you can do 15. And when I think about it, I did the math. I was like, okay, there are 1440 minutes in a day. You can 100% give yourself a dedicated 10. Like
Yes.
that is at minimum. So sometimes like if you think about that, you're like, there's so many minutes. Sometimes 10 does feel hard, but the more you do it, the more you're really like carving that new path of feeling better and starting to see that change. And to me, that's all where establishing really like falls into a really positive groove.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what's
Yeah.
the third step?
Okay. So maintaining is really like making it bigger. So maintaining is where you're out of like that day-to-day grind and you're able to have a firm like grounding of what things work for you, but you can also have that space to dream a little bit bigger. So like I like examples. So what I think of when I think of that is at the very beginning of things, I decided that I would try meditating. I hated meditating. Like everything about it was hard and not what I liked. But over time, I found ways that I liked it. It became a practice that really helped me. My daughters now, if they see me not in my best, they'll be like, Mom, you might want to go meditate for a little bit. You can come back. And so, like, that's just a practice. I went from not liking meditating to probably 7 years, 10 years later, going to meditation retreats dedicated to that for
Oh,
seven
wow.
days. So you just don't know where your path will go. And I think that's where I love that, like, just open it up to what possibilities might be there. You don't always have to know the hows of getting there. Like, just opening up to possibility and seeing where your path may turn to is such a great aspect of maintaining to me, because it is sort of that just more open space that you've gotten yourself to. You're out of the triage, you're into like a little more space to be able to see what might lie ahead.
Right. Okay. And what do you feel about, okay, so how much do you meditate a day? I'm curious about that.
So it used to be that I would get up in the morning. I would do like 10-minute little installments. I would do like 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the midday, and then 10 minutes after they went to bed, like to just kind of clear things out. I've sort of switched that up. I would say I aim for about 30 minutes, but I really like one longer sit now. I just feel like it really revives me and makes me feel my best. But it took just experimenting and trying it to see what worked, and what worked for the time too.
Right. Okay. And that
Yeah.
released you of your mama stress about your
Yeah.
daughter and what you were doing there. What about like doing daily exercise? And the other thing
No
I
question.
think about is support groups, right?
Yeah.
Can you find support in your own community or
Yeah.
online
Mhm.
to find other parents who are going through the same thing? I mean, is that part of a finding peace, or is that just adding to kind of the
I think I can only, again, speak for me personally. To your first question of movement, like, no question, I have to move my body every day in some way, fashion, or form. Like, whether that is stretching, walking, jumping on my bike, whatever that is, for me, like, that's a game changer. And if I don't do it, I don't feel my best. So that 100% body and mind activity is important. And I think the support piece is honestly like, that's my next where I'm going, because in my experience, it's been really isolating. It hasn't been something that people are super willing to talk about, super willing to open up about. And that's where my passion lies of, let's break down these stigmas. These aren't things that only I am dealing with. These are things that are super common. And what if we came together instead of hid away? How different would our world be? And so, like, so for me, like this past weekend, we actually created a mental health awareness walk. I just decided we would do that. So alongside my daughter, we did that, and we had more people than I thought turn out, and
fantastic?
it was amazing. And it was a way to see people face to face, help people learn, like, mental health challenges never look like you think they do, and look how prevalent it is. So I would say, I would love to connect with people if they are also looking and seeking that type of community, because I personally have found that very challenging to find and connect with. So
Yeah. Okay. Good for you. Maybe it's the mental walking. I'm surprised
yeah.
there isn't like a organized mental walk in this month
Yeah,
of May.
I know, I am too. My daughter, actually, we've uncovered that she has OCD. So we really were trying to, like, help bring awareness to OCD itself, because
Yeah.
I think it is very misunderstood on a lot of levels. And they do that in October, but we were like, you know what? It's Mother's Day. Like, we've gone through this journey together. This just feels important. Let's do it in May, along with Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
We need more of
Yeah.
that going on, I think.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess the moral of the story is, like, if you can't find the support, like, you can also create it. Like, put yourself out there and see what people are drawn to you to. It is pretty it's heartwarming to see that happen, even if it's a few people who are putting themselves out there. It's just so brave, and it shows that change will come.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Mhm.
making myself as ADHD kids can thrive puts
Yeah.
puts a big spotlight on me, that parents
Mhm.
realize that I'm doing the same as they are.
Yeah.
Reach out through the community. I always get a call or an email or a
Mhm.
text asking for support, because I'm a figurehead, if you will. of
Yeah,
somebody that they can reach out to. And just more
absolutely.
women need to do that, I think,
Totally.
around the world, and we'll all be
Yeah,
a little bit better for it.
totally agree. When we went into some of our treatments and different ways of being supported too, I know I had looked for like, hey, can I talk to someone else who's been through this particular type of treatment, something like that? And it's tough because with so many, compliance laws and things like that, you're really prohibited from being able to have that experience. Where that again is sort of where I'm like, okay, well, if we can't do it from that end, like maybe we can come together in a different way to support each other and to feel less isolated in this journey. So,
Right. Absolutely. Okay. So
yeah.
Kris, walk us through what are the three pillars of self-care?
Yes. So the three pillars to me are establishing, embracing, and maintaining. So you're going to start with that list of tiny things that bring you joy. You're going to start with baby steps, and then you're going to build those in your establishing. And then by the time you get to maintaining, you are dreaming bigger, you're seeing bigger opportunities for yourself, and you're out of that triage and you're able to really step into who you are. And that is where everything changes.
Yeah, that's great.